here once again for a TNA Wrestling Wrap-Up. This is for June the 21st, 2016 episode of TNA Impact on Pop Television. We've got a good show for you that just ended. My report to give it in, as I always try to give it in to you as soon as possible. We had a good show tonight, a few good matches, some things transpire through tonight, and we'll just jump right into it. TNA Impact kicks off, showing what the whole main event tonight is all about. Is the match from last week that was made. Jeff Hardy chooses to take on Matt Hardy in a 6 sides of steel match. That's brought to the forefront. The very first thing they talk about when they kick off, and they discussed that it's going to be the main event tonight. So we look forward to that. It's going to be a pretty good matchup. As we know, the Hardys usually put on a good matchup. The beginning of the show, Drew Galloway comes to the ring, and he immediately calls out EC3. They go back and forth. EC3 apologizes for last week. Drew doesn't like it. Drew challenges EC3. Lashley comes out, makes a tag match. If EC3 and Drew Galloway tag up together and win, they each get a title shot match. If Lashley and his partner win, then his partner gets the matchup for the title shot, and that would be, and his partner's none other than Eli Drake. So we see how that's going to work out, because that's the matchup that's coming next. Eli and Bobby basically dominate the match at the beginning. EC3 makes the hot tag to Galloway. Galloway pretty much clears everybody out. We see Galloway and EC3 through the matchup are disagreeing, and then Lashley goes and spears EC3 to the outside. Lashley gets thrown out. Galloway ends up pinning Eli Drake, and now we have the winners, EC3 and Drew Galloway. Both of those guys will get title shots against Bobby Lashley. So we see how that turns out, and I figured it'll be a good matchup. We see that up next, we see the Decay cut a promo. This is all about Rosemary picking someone that she felt to reach out to, that felt like she thought would be a good addition to the group. And they tease who it's going to be, and I'll say it's up next. We cut back from commercial. Lashley's talking to Drew about their matchup. You know, whenever that is, Lashley makes it a point to tell Drew that he holds all the cards, he's in control, and he'll let Drew know at the end of the night who he's going to choose to fight next week. So we see that promo cut. The Decay, we come back, and Decay are making their way out to the ring. Rosemary gets on the mic, talks about this person, says they're broken, and they're reaching out, and they want to reach out and offer this person a group invitation to join the group. You see Crazy Steve and Abyss are kind of weary about who they're picking, and she calls out none other than Bram. Surprising me, Bram comes out. Bram said he's confused, and then he realizes that he, quote, doesn't like their makeup, and he's not like messed up as they are. So he declines joining. The Monster Abyss and Crazy Steve end up beating him down. Rosemary tells him that she's not done yet, that he's going to start to decay. So I guess maybe this is some storyline that they're getting ready to start with Bram, since he's not in the, I guess, in the feud anymore with Eli Drake. So we'll see how that goes. We come back from commercial. But now we see EC3 backstage with Lashley, and you know they're talking about his title shot when he gets it, and Lashley tells EC3 basically the same thing, that he holds all the cards, he's in control, he can beat EC3 whenever, and it's going to be up to him to decide, and he'll decide tonight whenever that chance will be, and he'll let EC3 know exactly who he's going to be facing next week. So Bobby looks like he is making all the choices so far in who he's going to have, and they can do nothing now but just have to wait and see on who he decides to defend against, you know, because he's going to defend against both of them if he holds it for both of them. So we see what's going to happen there. We come back, and there's a knockouts matchup between two former friends. Marty Bell and Jade, they showed last week where Marty Bell interfered in the match against Jade. It was a triple threat match, and we see the matchup where she gets hit. Marty Bell hits Jade. Sienna makes the pin. She gets the win. She becomes the new knockouts women's knockout champion. So TNA's knockout champion. So it is showed here, and through the matchup, they emphasize how they're best friends and great friends. The commentators do the whole matchup. So that's one thing you're not going to forget is that they used to be best friends and stuff. So the matchup, Marty jumps on it pretty early on, gets the advantage, and they fight inside the ring, and she's basically getting the best of Jade. Once they go to the outside, like I always say, the outside can always create a disadvantage for one, and it can allow the opponent to take control. They go back and forth on the outside. Jade ends up kicking Marty into the steps. She picks up the the baton that that she walks at that Marty took out there. The referee threatens that he's going to disqualify if she doesn't put it down. She ends up putting it down, throws Marty back into the ring. She goes, at one point while she was on the outside, I don't want to forget this, one of the spots in the match is that she has Marty on her shoulders and she drops her face first onto the mat, and that was a hard drop too. But that was right before he told her that she needed to get back in the ring. So they get back in the ring. They fight. Marty comes on the outside. Jade's leaning close to the ropes. Marty hits Jade with the baton, knocks Jade out. Marty gets the pin, 1, 2, 3 in the matchup. So Marty Bell picks up the win in the matchup. Up next, we come back. Dixie Carter, the president, is talking to Bobby. And she tells Bobby, look, you don't make the decisions. You don't hold the cards. We do. And we have decided that next week, you're going to defend your title against both, but you're going to defend them in a triple threat matchup. So next week, for the TNA heavyweight title, we see Bobby Lashley is going to be competing a triple threat match between himself, Drew Galloway, and EC3, and the winner will get the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So Bobby seems like he's cool with it. He's calm with it, nothing to worry about, as he shouldn't. He's a big guy. He's a strong guy, So we come back, and Mike the Miracle Mike Bennett and Maria are in the ring, and Mike states last week that Dixie had assaulted Maria, and he wants to call Dixie out for her to explain her actions and what she did. And once Dixie comes down to the ring, Maria tells Dixie she wants her to apologize, and she wants Dixie and feels that Dixie is in a position that she did it wrong and she should be punished. And by being punished, she thinks that Dixie should step down. And then Mike Bennett goes into how his family's lawyers and stuff, and Billy Corgan is out there with Dixie, and he talks to Dixie, says, look, we need to diffuse this, and what we need to do is maybe you need to go home, take a week off, and just, to try to diffuse this situation, which puts a smile on Maria's face all too well, and she looks kind of happy in what goes on. So Dixie leaves the ring, and then Mike talks to Billy Corgan and tells him how he wants a shot. He knew he lost, but he wants a shot at the world title. And Billy says, you lost last time, and we've already got a championship main event for next week. And so then Mike Bennett says, well, you forget there's an option C to the world championship. And any of those who don't remember when they tried to restart the X Division championship, they did use option C for a while, and whoever option C is, whoever the X Division champion is, they can take their championship, they can cash it in, kind of like the Money in the Bank, cash it in for a world title shot. So if Mike can't get it through one way, he's going to try to get it through another. And he says, okay, that's fine. He says, I'll tell you what, I'll make a matchup that'll make headlines. You're going to challenge for the X Division championship right now against Eddie Edwards. So they go to commercial and come back. And there's Eddie Edwards takes on the Miracle Mike Bennett, and Eddie pretty much has control of the matchup until Maria comes and interferes in the matchup, and that allows Miracle Mike Bennett to take advantage of the situation. Eddie does hit a couple of high spots back to back. One time, a dive over the top ropes onto Miracle Mike Bennett, and then he gets back in the ring and dives through the second and top rope in this matchup. So back to back high spots in him, and then what happens is that Mike Bennett ends up, he gets a roll up pin against the ropes on Eddie Edwards, and the referee doesn't see it because he's out of position. But Mike is holding on to the ropes, and Maria is grabbing his hands, holding them onto the ropes so that Eddie Edwards isn't able to kick up. And so they end up, Miracle Mike Bennett gets the pin. He is your new X Division champion. So they made the situation work for them. They wanted it and they done it. I mean, it's a cheating way, but I mean, that's a heel for you. If he wants to get his shot at the title, he's going to make sure he does what he can to make it. So you have a 1, 2, 3, and you have Miracle Mike Bennett as your new X Division champion. Next up, we see Robbie at a bromance in the back, and he's looking at the bromance cams throughout the whole, throughout the whole place and the building. And he happens to catch Jesse Goddard's outside talking to Raquel, and they're talking about how they don't want things to upset Robbie, and he just said he didn't feel right, don't feel like he was doing things behind behind Robbie's back, and Raquel says he's a bad boy and he likes to do bad things. So she walks off and he goes back inside and talks to Robbie like nothing happened, and Robbie just gives him this certain look. So you can tell he's not too happy about that. Next up, we have a matchup between Braxton Sutter, and he's taking on this new guy. I don't know. He's supposed to be an independent guy. I can't remember his name. But he had all blue on, a blue mask and stuff, and he's going to take on Braxton Sutter. I guess it's another match, a squash match. But Rockstar Spud gets mad. He interferes in the beginning of the match, interrupts them before they could even get started, and he basically sends the independent guy and the mask out, and Rockstar Spud feels like he should be able to be in it, so Rockstar Spud takes his place. Pretty much Braxton Sutter takes it to Spud. Spud mounts very little offense to Braxton. Braxton ends up hitting his move, and then Braxton, in a show of respect, shakes Rockstar Spud's hand. Spud shakes his hand back, ends up kicking him in between the legs twice, and he ends up hitting him with his belt that he wears, that studded belt that he wears across the back, and you can see a welt forming up on the back of Braxton Sutter. So we see how Rockstar Spud is being underhanded. Up next, we have Sienna. Sienna cuts a short promo, just getting us kind of familiar with who she is. She said she's a crossover athlete. She trains real hard. She's been in the business for 7 years, and she's going to do everything she can with the TNA Knockouts Championship. So kind of a little piece on her to get people a little more up to date and speed on just who she is as an athlete. So nice little piece there. Wasn't just a minute or two, but good to try to get at least know who she is. And last but not least, for tonight's matchup, folks, we have a matchup between the Hardy brothers. Brother Nero and Broken Matt take on each other, and they immediately throw in tables and chairs and ladders inside the six-sided steel ring, and it's a good matchup. Pretty much from the beginning, Matt takes it to Jeff when they cut back from commercial. Dirty involved in the match, and we can see Matt's having the advantage. Matt, there's a few high spots. Matt hits a side effect on Jeff onto one of the chairs. He gets a 2 count. Then we see that Jeff ends up hitting back-to-back twist of fates on Matt and a swanton off the top rope, but that's only a 2 count. Matt is very hard to bring down in this matchup. They said it's madness is keeping him strong, but it was very, Jeff tried all he could do, and that was a very difficult thing to take Matt down. Matt was very hard to get down in this match, no matter what Jeff was doing to him. So he ends up fighting. Matt ends up ending up on the table. Jeff takes two chairs. He lays them on top of Matt. He's hitting Matt to keep him still. He takes another table, stands it up, stands it over the top of Matt. He literally takes a ladder and sticks it on the top rope, climbs up the ladder, which puts him on top of the cage, and he does a dive through the table that lands through Matt Hardy. 1, 2, 3. So hopefully this will be something that kind of ends this feud. It was a very crashing, very hard matchup. It was a very good matchup. It wasn't very long, just a few minutes, but I liked that dive. That's one of the most awesome dives I've seen Matt do. You know, he didn't dive on top of not Matt, but Jeff. What did Jeff do? Jeff dove through a table to land on Matt. He didn't dive on Matt. He dived on it. He dived on top of a table that went through on top of Matt, on top of chairs. So awesome spot at the end tonight. Like I said, it gives us some matchups for next week as we see the triple threat matchup for the world title is going to be the headliner next week, and hopefully we can see more as these feuds start and pick up more of it. So there was a good pay-per-view and good show tonight. So I hope everyone enjoys the report for TNA Wrestling Wrap Up. This is your host, Bill Mack. Until next time, everyone, take care.